in Cleveland, Tennessee. Ocoee Society, 5 Points Museum.
Hey guys, and welcome back to the Curious Curators. I'm Hope.
And I'm Lindsay.
And today we have a new podcast for you, clearly, because we're here. And we are actually going to change up our format a little bit, change up our content a little bit. So this is the first of a new era for us, I would say. But today we're going to talk to you about the Olympics. So there was supposed to be an Olympics this year. You may or may not know that it has been postponed to 2021. And, well, yeah. So we've been talking about the Olympics for a couple days, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And
ever since we went to the Ocoee Whitewater Center.
Yeah, so we went to the one place in the Ocoee region that the Olympics were done, the 1996 Atlanta Olympics. And I've actually found out so much cool stuff about the Olympics.
The Olympics in general, or that 1996 Atlanta Olympics?
Both. Because, I get off track a lot.
That's true.
So I did find some cool stuff about Atlanta, and then I just couldn't stop. I keep fixating on, weird things, and I'm not going to, go into super detail about all the things that I was interested in. But I think, the Olympics are cool. I enjoy parts of the Olympics. I'm not going to say that I enjoy everything, because that is just not me.
Well, what about race walking? I know that's your favorite.
I don't think I should have read the rules so I could talk about it.
We've been ragging on race walking in the office for several days, I think.
Apparently that's an Olympic sport, and I don't fully know. Well, I think it's kind of self-explanatory, but at the same time, I have no idea. So,
speaking of strange Olympic sports, I did some research on some Olympic sports. So I am going to ask you about a few Olympic sports, and you have to tell me if they've ever been Olympic sports or not. So I'm going to tell you about a few sports.
All right, let's try it.
Chess.
Yes.
Nope.
No, okay, I was like, that one's weird, so probably yes.
Croquet.
Yes.
Absolutely. Croquet was held once in 1900, and it's one of the few mixed gender sports. So women and men would compete alongside with each other.
Yeah. Okay.
There was no gender restriction on croquet. So
I kind of like croquet as an idea. It's quite warm.
I only ever played it with my grandpa and his husband, so I don't know.
We played it at one of the summer camps last year.
Bowling.
No,
never been an Olympic sport. Tug of war.
Yes.
Yes, actually, the U.S. team left in 1 year because the Liverpool police, which were a team, by the way, cheated by having shoes that they could barely walk in. They were so heavy. And the U.S. Olympic team protested it, and when the Olympic Committee was like, no, this is fine, the U.S. team left, and that Liverpool police team won.
They weren't disqualified?
They were not disqualified, even though the rules said they had to be wearing normal shoes.
Well, I guess if you can, technically if you can move across the room, we could call those normal shoes.
Right. How about cricket?
Yes.
Nope.
No?
Sumo.
No?
Nope. Never been an Olympic sport. Live pigeon shooting.
That's horrible. But yes, I'm sure it has been.
It has been an Olympic sport. One time in 1900, over 300 pigeons were killed in the live pigeon shooting competition.
Why didn't they use clay pigeons?
Because it was called live pigeon shooting.
Yeah, but why not just call it pigeon shooting and use clay ones?
And actually, it is not listed on, if you look up medal lists for the Olympics, they don't list that one.
Oh, is that something they're trying to hide, I guess?
I'm just saying about 300 pigeons were killed.
I would have been in absolute hysterics.
Can you imagine what the ground looked like after that event?
Could you imagine being a spectator?
Yeah.
I would be in hysterics before that was over.
Would dead pigeons just fall on the audience? That's kind of terrifying.
Oh. I'm glad that didn't last.
So, and they've also never had synchronized skating as an Olympic sport.
Okay. At first, I thought you were going to say synchronized swimming, and I was like, wait, I swear I've watched
No,
that.
no. They've definitely had synchronized swimming, but they've never had synchronized skating as an Olympic sport, which I thought was interesting because that sounds like something that would be an
Yeah.
Olympic sport.
They do. And then what we had talked earlier, they're going to add skateboarding.
They're going to
next
add
year.
skateboarding. I wrote down a list, I think, of the things they're going to add because some of the stuff I thought had been Olympic sports, they're going to add surfing.
Oh, that's kind of cool. I like it.
Yeah.
Wait, but do you have to wonder, like, how? Like, is that going to be, like, quite a far away venue than the actual...
Well, this one is taking place in Tokyo, so I imagine there would be...
water?
Yeah, I mean, it is
Yeah.
on the Pacific Ocean.
Well, yeah, I just mean, like, in the future, like, when they do...
They're probably going to have to select places that are close enough to a surf spot, I would imagine.
Because LA is the next one, and they have...
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they have... they added baseball. It used to be in, they dropped it, it's getting added back
Okay.
in. They're adding karate, they're adding sport climbing. And then surfing and skateboarding into the 2020 Olympics.
I kind of enjoy that. I like that they're diversifying a little bit.
I think skateboarding would be a lot of fun to watch. Usually with the Summer Olympics, all I watch are gymnastics.
I always watch gymnastics, and then, like, when Michael Phelps was, like, beating all the medal records, I watched the swimming.
See, I don't even watch that.
And I do watch the synchronized swimming because I just think it's so, like, pretty. I always watch that.
Yeah, so I think it would be a lot of fun to watch the skateboarding.
Yeah.
Because the X Games were always fun to watch.
Yeah, and I think the surfing is really interesting as well. I mean, because that's talent. I feel
Oh,
like,
yeah,
I feel like
absolutely.
that's such a skill to have. But
So there are actually, there are 3, I think, mixed sex games where women and men compete against each other, and that was croquet, sailing, and equestrian sports. Women
Okay.
and men can compete against each other.
Okay.
Unless it was specifically, now they've added stuff that's specifically mentioned as mixed.
Right.
So, for example, shooting has men's shooting, women's shooting, and mixed shooting. But with croquet, sailing, and equestrian, traditionally, since they've been instituted, haven't been restricted by gender. But there are still 2 sports today where women cannot compete. And that's Nordic combined, which is a cross-country skiing and ski jump,
Okay.
and Greco-Roman wrestling. Women cannot compete in Greco-Roman wrestling.
I almost want to be like, who would want to? But then at the same time, why?
They don't have like a separate women's event for it, so they can't. Even today.
Well, couldn't that be added in the next Olympics? We have time.
I'm kind of wondering how many female Greco-Roman wrestlers there are. I've never looked
True.
that up.
Like, why would you want to? Well, I noticed you kept mentioning the equestrian events. You know something I found out? You know how, like, Olympic athletes or any, like, world-class level athlete is always drug tested? So are the horses.
Do the horses get medals, though? Do they have like a horse medal and a human medal?
I don't know, but I think that they should if
They
you're
should.
forcing your horse to do this because, like, let's be real, he didn't care if we were Olympic athletes or not. So, I mean, I think you should. If they don't.
Well, I mean,
they should.
you and your horse are a team. I really think that dog acrobatic, like dog show things should be Olympic sports too. If you're going to have equestrian, the people who train their dogs.
Oh, that would be so much fun. I will watch a dog show.
I saw a basset hound competing in one of those, and it was the funniest thing I think I've ever seen because he didn't do anything. I have a basset hound, or my family has a basset hound, so
So it's like,
he definitely would just meander
Just do
on
it.
through. So let's kind of talk about the history of the Olympics and maybe its origins and some interesting events or things that have happened in the Olympics before.
okay, well, I think we all kind of know that the Olympics are sort of based, let's say loosely based, on the ancient Olympic Games, which weren't really what we have going on right now. They were a festival in celebration of and for the god Zeus. So it was like a mythological type thing, and they did foot races, which we do, javelin contests, which is also part of athletics, I'm pretty sure, and then wrestling. So, yes. But it was actually a competition between a bunch of different Greek city-states, and it was part of the Pan-Hellenic Games, which is like a series of 4. And it went on from about 776 BC to about AD 393. Rome ended up suppressing the games because they wanted the official religion of Rome to be Christianity.
Okay.
So they kind of went. But the games that we kind of watch are based on something called the Winlock Olympian Society's annual games.
Okay.
And these have been held since about 1850, and they were in a place called Shropshire, England.
Okay.
And then they started sort of basing it on this, because the first modern games that we think of were held in Athens in 1896.
Yeah, so actually the 1996 Olympics was the Centennial.
Yeah. Which, it was like, I watched a condensed version of the opening ceremony, and I was like, they showed all these pictures of all the older, it was stunning. The opening ceremonies are always so nice.
So considering the old Olympics way back when in Greece, and I guess essentially Rome, something that we've talked about previously is Roman emperors, and Nero competed in the Olympics in 1967.
Oh, Nero.
He bribed the organizers to postpone the games so he could participate. And he won every event he was in, so apparently a great athlete.
A fantastic athlete, especially even when he didn't finish the events.
Yeah, he didn't finish the 10-horse chariot race. He was thrown from the chariot and just decided to leave.
But he would have won.
Yes, he would have won if he had completed. That's why he got. That's why he won. And
I wish people had that much faith in my abilities at chariot racing.
He also added artistic events to the Olympic Games. Instead of just being athletic, he added artistic events so that he could win the artistic events too.
Also a great actor, writer, singer.
Can you imagine how riveting it would be to have an Olympic painting event where you watch people paint against each other?
If that was a thing, I think Bob Ross would have won.
Oh, absolutely. Bob Ross, Olympic painter.
Yeah, I mean, he should have gotten a gold medal in all fairness, but...
So I think when we talk about the first games, that was the first Summer Olympics.
Yes.
The first Winter Olympics were later.
Yeah, much later, which I think is kind of weird, but...
Because they're my favorite.
I do like the figure skating. I stand those figure
I
skaters.
become a professional figure skating judge during the Winter Olympics. I go, they're going for the quadruple sow cow. Oh, they under-rotated. Didn't manage to land it.
Did you see that wobble? That's going to cost points.
He managed to land it in practice, but when it comes to the Olympics, he under-rotated. Look at him, the slight bend in his ankle.
And
That's going to cost him.
watching with your parents and your mom's just like, you've never figure skated in your life.
Exactly. And ask me right now what any of that stuff means. I don't know. But as soon as the Winter Olympics come back around, bam, I'm an expert again.
Oh, same. But you know what I kind of think is interesting between the first Olympics, I kind of feel like we're just a thing that someone was like, hey, let's try to do this. There were less than 250 competitors, 14 nations. Most of them were actually Greek. And do you know how many people were in, let's say, the Atlanta Olympics or even the ones in Rio?
Well, I mean, I do, but I'll let you answer.
Yeah. So in Atlanta, they had 10,320 athletes. That's an astounding number of people. And then in Rio, they had 11,238 athletes from 206 nations, plus they instituted the first refugee team. So,
oh, wow.
That was kind of, because, the Olympics is meant to promote international peace and understanding through games, which we kind of know isn't always the case, but that's what they try to do. And sometimes they want to bring things to the public attention, which is where the refugee team came in. Okay. Which I thought was really cool. And they walked out, they're the ones that carried the Olympic flag, I think. Oh. So, yeah. Actually, so nice. Those opening ceremonies get me, man. That Parade of Nations, I'm like... I'm so dramatic.
So, should we move on to discuss the 1996 Olympics that were held in Atlanta?
Definitely. That is the games of the 26th Olympiad. Yes.
And the Centennial.
Yes. And very expensive. $1.7 billion.
Well, we were actually discussing in the office how a lot of these stadiums end up costing a lot more and causing the host city or nation to really suffer financially. But what this actually did was revitalized Atlanta's downtown area.
True.
So this is one of those. This is one of those times where it actually was financially beneficial, and they also were able to reuse the Olympic stadiums.
Which is so good because that doesn't always happen.
No, it does not.
One of the nice things, so like I said, I sat and watched this whole thing, but the torch relay, of course, starts in Olympia, Greece, and comes to the host city.
So how do they get across the ocean? I've never...
They fly, they take boats. They used to take boats. Now they fly. I even read that at one point, crossing the ocean, they were able to pick up, like, the flame. Like, they used heat sensors, and they used, like infrared waves or something to relight the torch once it crossed the ocean. So, like, wow. But as you know, like, once they get the torch into the stadium, it's passed off to, like, multiple athletes inside, like, a small place. And I'm pretty sure, you can correct me if I'm wrong because you probably know, but all of the torchbearers are some sort of athlete that competed in the Olympics. And 1996, Muhammad Ali lit the opening ceremony flame. And I thought this was also really cool. Muhammad Ali won a gold medal in 1960. And he ended up throwing it into the Ohio River in, like, protest. And they replaced it 36 years later at this Olympics.
Oh.
So I thought that was really nice. I mean, I'm sure he thought that was nice as well. I don't know. But I thought that was kind of interesting. But I will say for this, the opening ceremony was so 90s.
I'm sure you loved it.
I did. I mean, but it was also a couple firsts, I'll say, before we get into how close this Olympics actually was to home here. But this was the first time in Olympic history that every country invited sent athletes. And this is also the first time that all former Soviet countries competed under their own flags instead of under, a Soviet flag. And 7 athletes tested positive for banned substances. From no particular country. They were from everywhere.
Okay. So we actually, during the Olympics, there was one event in the Centennial Olympic Park. In Atlanta, there were several bombs planted by a terrorist, essentially, Eric Rudolph. And it was really interesting because we were just talking about this. There was a movie out recently because a security guard spotted one of the bombs and cleared people of the area. He actually saved a lot of lives, but then the media got a hold of it and the FBI started investigating him under suspicion of being the one who planted it and created some sort of hero complex so that he could plant the bomb and then save everybody. Richard Jewell, and there was actually a movie, I believe, made recently about him, and it's so tragic because he saved lives and he was not the one who did it.
Yeah, and they cleared him later.
Yeah.
But it was for over 2 years.
Yeah.
He was a suspect and he didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Except for he did his job. He, located a threat and was able to help neutralize it. He literally did his job. And
yeah, he did exactly what he was supposed to. He was a security guard. He made sure everybody was safe. He probably saved a lot of lives because it did only kill one person, but it injured 111 people.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine what that toll would have looked like if Richard Jewell hadn't cleared the spot where one of the pipe bombs were.
Yeah, he was a hero, 100%.
And such a tragic figure now, too, in hindsight, because he was basically trial by media. Everybody said he did it.
And
he was innocent. He was a hero who saved lives.
It's very sad. We will tell you we did not watch the movie.
Yeah, I started to watch it, but it was extremely
sad,
frustrating. But yeah, Eric Rudolph said he did it in protest to abortion on demand, and it was an anti-gay kind of anti-abortion protest that he did this for. He also had a history of bombing abortion clinics and gay bars.
Yeah.
And in total, before he was caught, he killed 3, including a uniformed police officer, and injured 150 people through a series of these bombings.
Yeah, and he was loose for 7 years or something, till the 2000s. He managed to evade capture.
Yeah, and he was active for about 2 years, from 1996 to 1998. But we in the Ocoee region had canoe slalom events.
Yeah, canoe slalom events
on the Ocoee River.
So the Ocoee River is part of the Ocoee region. It's
Absolutely.
just down the road. We were just there. I mean, we were literally there this week. And the Ocoee River was about 200 feet wide at the part where they did this. They narrowed it down to about 70 feet, built like levees, and there's some nice drops. You can still go like whitewater rafting there.
Yeah, during weekends in the summer.
Yeah, because it's dry. It was dry when we were there. We have another video about that. But it was dry when we were there. But it was absolutely stunning. Like, it's beautiful. We were saying it would be beautiful in the fall. But anyway, yes, this was our like claim to fame with the Olympics.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we only had one U.S. winner, Dana Chlodek. She was originally Czech-born, but moved to America when she was about 4 years old. She won silver in women's, behind actually Stepanka Hilgertova of the Czech Republic.
Okay.
She actually competed in 2 Summer Olympics. In 1992, she won bronze. 1996, she won silver. And she won 4 silvers and 2 bronzes at the Canoe Slalom World Championships.
Okay.
And she's currently a coach and race director
cool.
at an Olympic training place. She's essentially part of the coaching team. Her coaching team is the highest level of coaching provided in the U.S. for people wanting to compete in those.
Good for her.
Yeah, no, she moved on to be a coach, and she moved on to do a lot. And, you know, it was pretty exciting that a U.S. athlete placed during these. I believe there were 4 events.
Yeah.
In the U.S.
2 men, 2 women, I think.
There was only, it was, I didn't write down how many events it was, but
it was 4.
But the U.S. did place in women's.
Yeah, and then Lee
Women's
University, which is right across the street from us, was the Olympic village for these athletes that were participating.
At the time, Lee College.
Yeah, so it was Lee College back then, and we will say we're about 3 hours, well, we're probably about 2 hours, 2 hours and 15 minutes or so north of Atlanta, but like where this was, you're a good 3 hours north of Atlanta, like in the wilderness. This is like wilderness. There was nothing around when we were there, but it's, like I said, it's absolutely beautiful, and you can go, whitewater rafting, the same kind of trek that they took.
Yeah.
Which I think is really cool. I think it would be scary, but I think it would be cool.
Yeah, after your tubing incident, you really probably don't want to do that.
I don't think I'm going to do it this summer. I think I've had enough danger. But I also think that it's cool that, like, it happened here. We do have some of the, in the exhibit, we have, like, a volunteer outfit.
We have the Russian kayak. Even though Russia didn't place.
But they did leave a kayak, which was super nice of them, because now we have it. And that replica torch.
Yeah, we do have a replica of the Olympic torch.
I thought it was real for the longest time, but it's cool. It looks just like they looked, which is what a replica is, so.
Yep, that is.
Well.
Thank you, Merriam-Webster.
Oh, what a day. But yeah, I guess that's probably all we have for you about this today. Of course, we'll be back next week, but check out all the Olympic stuff. The Olympics are so interesting. Like, look it up. It's all so interesting. But yeah, so thanks, guys, and we'll see you next week.
See ya. Bye.